Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. From this video onwards, I would like to start my advanced tutorial series. So if you want more content like these, please subscribe. And let's begin. So this video, I would like to talk about my basic standard group and what characters you should level at the start. Since in this game, gold and experience are really just needed, and you don't have a lot of them just at the start of the game. Even now, I'm still lacking a lot of experience in gold, and so to prioritize some characters and who I will talk to you in this video. So generally, I would say this is your basic formation. All of these you will need at some point. So 2 scouts, 1 with higher in damage and 1 in higher defense. 2 tanks, 1 really high in health and 1 that can heal others. 2 archers, so both of these are archers that will aim at air units first, which you will need most likely. 2 warriors, depends on which type you like, but one of them most likely will be ones that can deal range damage. 2 healers, 1 solo healer and 1 AoE healer. 2 magicians, 1 single target and 1 AoE. So let's go through all of them. If you're not sure which character is which type, you can go back to my basics tutorial and I'll have them all explained, but I'll just go through them really quickly. So in general, if you have a higher tier replacement, just level up the higher tier one. So example, I was using Fang for a really long time. She was my basic defense type scout, and now I've switched to Korea. And Texas is really good as a high DPS scout. They all recover your cost during the stages. Just as a backup, I would level up one of these scouts that will return all of their costs when you retract them from the field, but that is an option, you don't need to. So definitely have 1 of each type. Second, archers or snipers, or whatever they're called in the English version. I would love to have at least 1 AoE archer as a backup. So in general, I would say they're single targets and AoE archers, but even though they're all AoE, they can still be different. For example, Shirayuki can deal magical damage, which can ignore completely normal defense, so bypass normal defense, which is a lot better when all your enemies are bunched up and they have really high health or really high defense, like those tanky characters. I would use Meteorite if there's just a bunch of them, but they're all really low in health. Then obviously Meteorite is the right choice here because she deals high damage to normal enemies. But in general, at least 1 AoE archer and 2 of the ones that will aim at air units. And a really special case, Firewatch, she is a single target, but she doesn't attack enemy. She doesn't have any priority at aiming, so kind of useless sometimes. So healers, as I said, 1 single target and 1 AoE healer. As a backup, I would have a second single target healer, but that is also an option, and perhaps another backup for AoE healer. So at most 2 each. Do not have a third one. Anyway, no way. 2 each. Magicians. So as I said, you need at least 1 single target, and everyone will get a Mia, who is a single target magician, so there's nothing to worry about that. But if you say you got Ifrit and you're like, oh yeah, that's my AoE caster, but no, do not think that way. because Ifrit is really special that she can only aim at a straight line in front of her, which can be really strong in some cases, but most of the cases she's useless. You want to at least level up another AoE caster who can deal damage in front of them as like a square. So you might not have Skyfire, but you will definitely have Lava, and perhaps you'll even use Gitano. But don't, just because you got Ifrit doesn't mean you don't need another AoE caster. So you can see that I have 2 single target casters, but that is because I got Ayafala a bit later. So I still level Amir like way more. She's really useful. I would level her up no matter what. So let's go to normal warriors. So these, you want at least one of each type, I would say. For example, AoE ones who can damage all targets in front of them. Like she can damage 2 targets at once. Spectre is really nice. You can only get Estelle from the free gacha, from the free recruit. But generally you might want one of these because they're really useful in some cases. But if you don't bother. Okay, you can replace them with like another AoE caster or something. Second, you want to have at least one of these that can do ranged attack warriors. So for example, Silver Ash is really nice. If you don't, Laplan is really good as well because she can deal magical damage with her skills. And if you don't have any of those, you can always use Midnight, but I would suggest having at least one of them. A normal single target warrior, Chen is really good, even though she's a bit special, but if you have her, you can just use her. Franca is also a really good one, but if you don't have any of those, Melantha is also really nice to have. So level her up if you don't have any of the higher tier ones. So for example, and then for the example, Indra and Bee Hunter, you might not want to level up at first because I don't really see a use in them at the start of the game. But if you want to, you can level them up if you really so wish. But I wouldn't level them up at the start. And then tanks, as I said, at least one normal tank and one healing tank. So in general, she's really good. I can't pronounce that, but obviously that's really simple. At least one of each tank, and tanks are really important in the game because they're the only units that can stop 3 enemies at once. Support, as I said in the previous videos, is 2 types: those ones with buffs and those ones with that can slow down enemies. Summoners are pretty useless. I wouldn't level them up at the start. I don't really know how to use them. But those ones that slow, you must have one. The thing with these buff characters, for example, Sora, she can increase the attack status for her ally around her. And you might think, oh yeah, every game needs a buff or a debuff character like Permanix that can decrease the enemy's defense. But no, I've never used them. I haven't seen anyone use them in any of the videos, like stage clearing videos. None. No one's ever used them. You might want to level 1 up just like in case, but at least I wouldn't. Like I haven't ever used them yet up to this stage. And then the special ones. So you want at least 1 push, show, and then at least 1 pull, one that can pull, so Cliff Heart or Rope. These are really important because they're special stages that needs them. Gravel is really good. You can put her on the stage really quick if you retract her or if she's killed by the enemy. Same for Project Red, but the difference between them is Gravel has a buff that will be granted to her when she's placed on the floor. She will get a shield, but then Project Red gets a buff that increases her damage. So the way that you usually use these characters are just to stop enemies, or just to get them to deal their special damage on her first before attacking your main characters, like for example your tank. So in one of these early stages, you get one of these enemy magicians that will bind your units and stop them from doing anything. And if they bind your tank, that tank can no longer stop enemies. So with Gravel, you can just put her on the stage when you see those enemies coming out, and they will bind her at no matter what, and then you retract her, and they can't bind your another unit after that. So Gravel is your first pick. If you don't have her, use Project Red. You will want at least one of them level up, and that is it. That is the characters that you want to level up at first. Don't level up every single character at the start of the game. That is really important, and that is the mistake I made when I started the game, and that's why I have like all these random characters that I never use, and they're all like a bit high in level for some reason, which is such a waste. You don't want to do what I did, unless you're paying a lot of money. So that's it for part 1 of the advanced tutorials. If you want more content, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.